Hello everyone, and let's talk about a 7-step program to a comprehensive generative AI adoption strategy for your association. So what you want to do when adopting AI is to enhance efficiency, member engagement, volunteer support, make sure that it's aligned with your mission, and to do so you need a clear step-by-step strategy. And here's a 7-step strategy that I used with a lot of associations to help them adopt generative AI effectively. Step 1. You want to assess your current processes in your association. What are you doing that you want generative AI to fix? You shouldn't just try to integrate generative AI. You want to have clear objectives, mission objectives and outcomes. For example, are there some inefficiencies in your workflows? Are there some challenges for your staff, volunteers, and members that generative AI can easily automate, such as repetitive tasks? Maybe you want to personalize member services. All of those are good fits for generative AI. So that's step 1, assessing current processes and seeing where generative AI fits. Step 2, you want to define clear objectives. What are measurable goals with metrics that are tied to your association's mission? For example, you can reduce administrative workload by 40% or increase member retention by 30% through personalized experiences. So defining clear objectives is step 2. Step 3 is engaging your stakeholders, including your staff, your volunteers, your members, and building a team. So you want buy-in from the leadership, from your staff, from volunteers, and have a cross-functional team. So you want a team that spans members from your IT department, from your membership department, from your communications and education department, and you want to make sure that it involves some volunteers from chapters or sections if you have sections, chapters if you have chapters. So the knowledge that they're gaining is spread throughout the sections and the chapters, and that's so that it can be replicated in other chapters and sections. And as part of doing so, you want to communicate clearly to everyone to reduce resistance to change, which is a major obstacle to generative AI adoption. I talk about that in other videos. Okay, so getting stakeholders, building a team, that's step 3. Step 4 is developing a roadmap and a timeline. So here you want to pilot. As part of the roadmap and timeline, you want pilot projects to test various generative AI tools to make sure that they're going to be a good fit in the way that you're planning that they're a good fit. Gradually scale up successful pilots across departments and chapters, and of course, not successful ones you want to avoid or revise. And have realistic timelines for full implementation. It takes many weeks, often months, to adopt generative AI effectively. So after a roadmap and timeline, that's step 4, we move on to step 5, choosing the right tools and partners. So make sure that the generative AI tools that you adopt are going to be easy to scale across all the chapters, all of your departments, that it's easy to use for people who aren't technically savvy. Partner with consultants and vendors who have experience in working with associations. I've worked with a number of associations, and I have to tell you that when they partner with vendors that don't work with associations, they often get subpar results. So you want to partner with vendors and consultants who are aware of how to use generative AI for event management, for member analytics, for volunteer coordination and recruitment, all of those sorts of things. Okay. After choosing the right tools and partners, step 5, we move on to step 6, having clear metrics to evaluate success. You want to tie those to your original objectives in step 2. For example, reduction in staff workload can be one metric. So percentage reduction in staff workload by reducing automated or repetitive tasks through automation. Increase of member satisfaction. So you want to evaluate the member satisfaction before and after you implement various generative AI tools. Adoption rates among staff and volunteers. So you want to see how well these tools are adopted. Okay, after metrics, you want to move on, that's step 6, you want to move on to the last step. Step 7, pursuing continuous improvement. So have a plan in your roadmap and timeline of continuous improvement through collecting feedback from staff, from volunteers, and of course members, updating generative AI tools based on their performance, based on new tools that are put out. That's why it's important to work with consultants and vendors who know about association needs and how they're changing over time, and have regular training to sustain adoption for your tools and innovation in how they're used. And that's step 7. So I'll tell you about a client case study, a national association with over 50 staff and dozens of chapters across the US, many dozens of chapters. So what we did was we focused on automated data entry, which this association was doing a lot of, and meeting scheduling, and that resulted in a 40% reduction in administrative workload on their staff. We personalized member recommendations, which improved retention and satisfaction. So improved retention by something like 20% and improved satisfaction by something like 30%. And we got volunteer coordination tools, which helped streamline planning and communication with volunteers. So that's an example of how a national association adopted these tools. Okay, let's move on to the key takeaways. You want to remember that generative AI adoption is a journey and not a one-time project. And you need to really make sure that you work with partners who know what associations need and have done in the past with generative AI adoption. You want to use a structured step-by-step strategy to ensure long-term success and make sure that you empower your staff, volunteers, and members through thoughtful generative AI adoption, listening to their feedback and integrating it to continually improve over time. All right, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to send me any questions that you have to Gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com. Again, any questions, please send them to Gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com and subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this.